That cannot be said for China's equation with Taiwan. It is tense. On Sunday, China's Coast Guard issued a statement, a message for Taipei. The Chinese Coast Guard is shifting strategies, engaging in more aggressive patrolling in the waters around Taiwan. And why is this worrying? Because Chinese troops are closing in. They'll now be in the vicinity of Taiwan's forces, closer than ever before, and this raises the threat of a clash. It even threatens civilians, Taiwanese civilians. Yesterday, there was a flare-up. China harassed a tourist vessel. It's called the King Xia, a Taiwanese ship, King Xia. It was out on a tour yesterday. There were 34 people on board, 11 crew members and 23 passengers. The boat was near Kinmen. Now, Kinmen is an archipelago. It belongs to Taiwan. But it's barely 10 kilometers from Chinese mainland. So China's Coast Guard took advantage of this. When they saw the King Xia, the Taiwanese ship, they dispatched 2 patrol vessels. These Chinese vessels intercepted the King Xia. 6 Chinese Coast Guard officers ended up boarding the ship. They spent 30 minutes there on board a Taiwanese tourist ship. Doing what? Harassing the passengers and crew. The Chinese Coast Guard asked the ship's crew for their documents. They had no right to do this because this was a Taiwanese ship operating in Taiwanese waters. So why did China do what it did? To intimidate the passengers and, by extension, Taiwan. In fact, leaders in Taipei have the same assessment.
When Chinese boats cross into our waters, we know that these boats are not illegal at all and they just entered by accident. We would just broadcast warnings and hope that they leave immediately. So we think China boarding and inspecting our boat yesterday has harmed our people's feelings and triggered people's panic. It was also not in line with the interest of the people across the strait.
But China has no plans to dial down tensions. Instead, it is doubling down. Today, the Chinese Coast Guard engaged in more provocations. They dispatched a boat, again towards Kinmen. The boat entered the waters near the islands. Taiwan's Coast Guard spotted the Chinese vessel and responded immediately. They sent their own boat to intercept the Chinese. And they were successful. Taiwan's Coast Guard issued a warning through radio and repelled the Chinese boat. But the threat persists. They'll have to keep their guard up. So Taiwan is now stepping up patrols and deploying radar and surveillance around the Kinmen Islands. Because the Chinese boats will not stop coming. The question is why? Why the provocation now? What has made Beijing so angry? Possibly the events of last week. 2 Chinese fishermen drowned near Kinmen. We'll tell you what happened. Just like today, a Chinese boat crossed into Taiwanese waters. It was not a Coast Guard vessel. This one was a fishing boat. But it sparked suspicions. The fishing boat had no name, no ship certificate, and no registration. There were 4 people on board. When they entered the Taiwanese waters, Taiwan's Coast Guard spotted them. They tried to stop the Chinese vessel, but the crew did not listen. They increased the speed of their boat. They tried to beat the Taiwanese Coast Guard. This led to a high-speed chase and ended in a mishap. The Chinese fishing boat capsized. All 4 of its crew members fell into the sea. Taiwan's Coast Guard managed to rescue 2 of them. The other 2 drowned. China issued a sharp statement about this incident. It blamed Taiwan's leaders for these deaths, especially the ruling party, the Democratic People's Party of Taiwan, which is a pro-democracy party, as their name suggests. They oppose reunification with China. And this party also won the presidential election last month. Of course, Beijing was not happy with the result, and now they're taking a fresh aim at Taipei.
So who is against cross-strait reunification and wants to pursue independence? It is not us, but the governing party on the island, which is called the Democratic Progressive Party. Therefore, to uphold the One China policy, we should support China's peaceful reunification. If we want to maintain peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, we must resolutely oppose Taiwan independence, because Taiwan independence and stability in the Taiwan Strait are incompatible.
That was China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi. He claims China wants peace and stability. The problem is China wants it on its own terms. For them, peace and stability will be achieved only if the neighbors surrender. And that won't happen.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.